afternoon, and welcome back to Coffee with a Kick. I'm Xander, that's Keegan, and as you can see, my compatriot here is in mourning. It's all black everything. You're lucky I convinced him to take off the mascara before we started, okay? I mean, it was all...
It was streaking.
It was messy. It was messy and not in the good soccer way. But we'll get to that in really just a second, because we do have to start with Tuesday first. Anything you want to get off your chest before we hop into the Champions League proper?
We'll stick to the script.
Stick to the script. All right. Tuesday. It was Borussia Dortmund defeats Atletico Madrid, and Real Madrid, wrong line. There we are. Barcelona loses to PSG at home. To be fair to Barcelona, they were down to 10 men for the majority of this match, and they still put up a good fight. They went down, I believe. Let me get my notes pulled up here. If they will load, maybe. There we are. They still put up a good fight. They went up 1-0 early, and they got close a couple times after Dembele scored in the 40th, and then Vitina in the 54th. Whoa, fun. But that 29th minute, Araujo, I think, red card sunk them by and large. And they were on the defense. Luckily, they had a goal up at the time, but still, they weren't able to overcome PSG's onslaught, and they ended up being pretty comfortable there. In the other match, it was Borussia Dortmund taking out Atletico Madrid 4-2, and this one was more exciting because it was more, it wasn't the same with a red card for three-fourths of the match. Two-thirds of the match. But the yellow wall came through. It went kind of how we thought. Dortmund, as long as you can keep it close enough, your home field advantage is significant, and they took full advantage of that with their two sets of closely paired goals, 34th and 39th for Maatsen and Brandt in reverse, and then Füllkrug and Sabitzer in the 71st and 74th. Impressive for Dortmund. Good to see them go through. That's fun. Germany now has two sides in the semifinals. We could have an all-German Champions League final here if we're not careful. But how'd you like these two matches here?
Yeah, Dortmund one kind of went exactly how I had thought. Dortmund gets out 2-0 quick. The Hummel's own goal is unfortunate because I don't think Atletico Madrid earned that goal. Just an unfortunate deflection, but yeah, good on them for using the home side, especially when it was 2-2. Mm-hmm. It would have been easy to be up 2-0. They come back 2-2 and then just freak out a little bit. But after the 64th minute, that 6-7 minute stretch, they really controlled the match until Füllkrug put it in. Yeah, Dortmund, good on them. I think because Dortmund and Bayern both went through, Germany now gets the extra spot.
That would be my guess, since
especially since both English teams lost.
Yeah.
Barcelona, I felt like pre-29th minute, they were the better team.
Yeah, I thought they were going through easy, and then that red card shifted the whole match.
Yeah, shifted everything. I felt like they were really only playing defense. Dembele's 40th minute goal, tough to see since he was kind of a disappointment while he was at Barcelona. Then he comes and is their Achilles heel. But second half, after Vitinha's goal, it looked like Barcelona were trying to press on more and play more offense, but just left way too much in the back. So, and then Mbappe comes through with his brace. Easy peasy. So, 4-1, the only reason it was that score was because of the red card. I think Barcelona probably wins this if they don't go down to 10 men, to be honest.
Yeah, I think you're right on there. The Dortmund PSG matchup will be interesting for the semifinals. I'm leaning more towards PSG, but I could definitely see Dortmund pulling something similar in the semifinals that they did here against Atletico Madrid. where you just stick in it during the away fixture and then wrap it up when you come home. Anyway, talking about wrapping up when we go home, we go to Wednesday with the tied side of the bracket. Bayern beats Arsenal 1-0, which I had exactly. Oh, I missed both of them on the first day. You split half and half because you went all home sides. And then on the second day, I got Bayern exactly right, 1-0. Kind of went how I said it would. Arsenal really didn't press much. Surprisingly, they didn't. There wasn't a lot of forward action there. And then Man City does lose to Real Madrid 1-1, 3-4 on the penalty kicks. But before we get to that, because I feel like we'll both have plenty to say on that, the Bayern one, Bayern controlled the match, and Arsenal never got much going on in the forward direction. I think Bayern controlled like the first 20 or so, and then Arsenal worked their way back in the second half of the first half. But then in the second half, there weren't a ton of chances for Arsenal, I didn't feel like.
No, I mean, great job by Bayern, though. Because from the get-go, it was clear they were the home side. They wanted to play how they wanted to play. Even after they went up 1-0, it didn't feel like Arsenal ever got that control that they like. Because they're kind of like City. They want to have possession. Yeah. They want to be able to pass it around to the outside, stay wide. But Bayern played it perfectly. And maybe Harry Kane had something to do with it. It seemed, he's played Arsenal enough. He's played Arteta enough. There might have been some skill there. But, yeah, I don't know. It was a good effort. Once they went up, it never really felt like Arsenal was going to come back into it. There were a couple chances late, a couple of shots that weren't actually on target, but good build-up. But, yeah, I mean, Arsenal, 2 straight tough defeats that really put them out of trophy potential. Premier League's still there, but this one, that's got to be a tough blow mentally.
Yeah. There's a lot of focus that will be shifting back to the Premier League that may have otherwise been diverted because, as we said, Manchester City does lose to Real Madrid on penalties. I had it as going to penalties, but I had it as 2-2 and I had it as 4-3, 5-4 instead of 1-1 and 3-4. This match was Real Madrid scoring early and then just letting City come at them the rest of the match. That's basically all it was. And after City scored there in the 76th minute with De Bruyne, you could see that Real Madrid was trying to turn it back on, but they had been on the retreat so much, they just couldn't hit that gear going back forward, it didn't feel like. And then going into the extra time, he subs off Haaland. Is that in between? That was 4 extra time, right? He subbed him off in between.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it was first part of the extra time. Subbed him off.
Julian Alvarez, and makes some other substitutions. Takes off De Bruyne late on in the second half before penalty started. My read on this is that Pep did not want it to go to PKs. So once he took off Haaland, he's committed to trying to win this before we get to PKs. That's the taking off De Bruyne to try to get those extra legs on. Even though it's De Bruyne, he had already played. He hadn't played. He's been in and out of the squad for a lot, so he may not be 100% match fit, is my guess. And he's Pep, I think, is trying to push to win it before they get the penalties. They just didn't get there. Part of it is because he took off Haaland. So it was kind of like he shot himself in the foot and then had to pick his rifle back up and ended up shooting his other foot as well. Because then you get to the penalties and you don't have your 2 top penalty takers there to take. And guess what? You end up getting 2 penalties saved from guys who wouldn't typically be in your lineup.
Personally, I did not mind Haaland coming out. I felt like he was just non-existent. Like, maybe for penalties makes sense, but I don't know if he would have had the composure to hit his penalty.
That's fair. He had not been great. He had that one good header that almost went in, I think in like the 60th-ish minute or something. Maybe it was the first half. But other than that, the only thing he was taking up attention. That's the only thing that he was doing.
Which almost worked in the 85th minute because I think it was Doku plays a ball into the middle. 2 guys go with Haaland. De Bruyne is wide open and just skies it. And that was the chance that came back to bite us because he was open at the 6-yard box, skies it, and I mean, City 33 shots, 9 on target. You only put 1 in goal, and everything in open play happened. You get to penalties, you're up, 1-0, and then it's 1-1, but you have a goal on them. Bernardo Silva. Amazing player, magician even. Gives probably the worst penalty I've seen in maybe the last 5 years. The goalie didn't have to move. It was like he was doing a training drill with the goalie. And Kovacic, I'm okay with that save. That was a good save. Wasn't as far over as he wanted it to. But Kovacic missing his third. But, I mean, Bernardo, it's win or go home, and you're just lackadaisically kicking it down the middle. It wasn't even a Panenka attempt. It was just a normal kick.
No, when you're taking that penalty, your eyes are supposed to be on the keeper because you're waiting for him to move. If he doesn't move, you can't take that penalty. But you look at the replay, he's watching the ball the whole time, so he's made up his mind that he's going to do this little deke into the middle of the net and just pray that the goalkeeper didn't move. But the goalkeeper did what they say to do. You wait for them. The first person that moves in a penalty is the one who comes up empty, typically. So,
well, supposedly that was Silva's spot in 4 of his last 5 penalties.
Wow, yeah.
So the homework was done, and it was not executed well from City's end.
Yeah, and then Ederson, he steps up like, oh, well, I guess they're going to lose it here. Great penalty from Ederson.
Best one besides Rudiger's. Best one.
It was a great penalty. I don't know. Julian Alvarez was pretty nice there. The first one he hit, it was well struck. I don't think you're going to say that if you go the right direction. But even so, Ederson, surprisingly good attempt there. In the end, it's not enough. And Real Madrid. Listen, I feel like this was the title match because it was a rematch of last year. Both these sides looked really good in the first fixture. They're both very talented. I mean, Bayern has their hands full with Real Madrid here. It'll be this Real versus Bayern. Jeez Louise, Bayern will be I think a better fixture than the Dortmund and PSG side, and I think that once the seeds stacked up the way they did for the for the knockout stage draw, I feel like it was like this half of the seeding was obviously the stronger half, and we'll see how it plays out in the end. But I think that the winner will be coming out of this half of the fixtures, and probably Real.
Yeah, nothing much to say except it'll take me a couple days to mourn it, but we still have a couple trophies left potentially to get. Let's see what happens.
Do you want to go ahead and hit that before we do the regular Premier League matches, or do we want to hold that till the end?
And we can hit the FA Cup.
All right, then as a little bit of a palate cleanse for yourself as a City fan, we'll go ahead and go to a different semifinal matchup, which is Chelsea versus Manchester City in the FA Cup. I believe they're on Saturday. Yes, Saturday is Manchester City and Chelsea at 12:15 Eastern Time. And then Coventry County, is that right? A championship side is taking on Manchester United at 10:30 a.m. on Sunday. So that is for the FA Cup semi-finals, single match. So it's win or take all here. No reverse fixtures for this one. Do you think Chelsea is able to put up a fight against City?
I think after the Champions League loss, and this game will be at home, I think it's going to be tough. City has not been the team historically to lose back-to-back, especially big matches. So I think we come back and we kind of assert some dominance again. I think it'll be 4-1. I think it'll be a good first half, then the second half we'll take it. But, I mean, Chelsea's playing well, so it depends on what translates to the FA Cup versus how each team is playing in the Premier League.
Yeah, I think if I recall correctly, that was the first loss for City in 3 months, I think is what it was, against Real Madrid here in the midweek. Still haven't lost in the When was the last time they lost in the Premier League? Have they lost this year in the Premier League? Let's see. They haven't lost. No. We looked at this previously. They haven't lost since December 6th when they lost at Aston Villa. So, it's been a bit since they've lost in England. But I think this goes 3-2. I think it's a little bit more nervy than a 4-1 because it is this is now not prime importance. Still, the Premier League title is more important than the FA Cup, but it definitely is now taking a larger place on the trophy on the shelf than it would otherwise. And Chelsea is playing well. I mean, we could also very well see Chelsea come in and be a totally different team than they were when they beat Everton. Of course, it was Everton. He beat Everton 6-0 on Monday. But I think that they're starting to work better as a team. So I think it's 3-2. Man City still takes it, but definitely closer than they would have liked. And then for Coventry and Manchester United, I'm just gonna give. No, you know what? I'm gonna give it to Coventry 2-0. I think I'm gonna give it to Coventry 2-0. They'll probably lose like 5-0, but why not?
I have it 2-1 Coventry in extra time.
Oh,
I think Coventry's 8th in the championship. They have nothing else to play for there.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm sure that this weekend they probably rested a ton of their players. So I think they'll do that. Man U's been kind of in a little bit of a shuffle, a little bit disarray, a little volatile here last couple of weeks. So I think Coventry has a chance to really sneak in there. And it's at Coventry City, so there's a chance.
Yeah, Manchester United at this point, a couple weeks ago they were knocking on the door of maybe getting up into the 5th, 4th conversation. But since then they've gone draw, loss, draw in the Premier League, and their manager may or may not be leaving this off season. They don't have much to play for. I feel like United might phone it in essentially the rest of the season, because what's the point of it at this point? Other than let's see, the 7th get into to the Europa League. I think they get into the play-in, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure on that, but we'll see.
They're going to have to win a lot.
Yeah, they're going to have to actually perform to get into the Europa League, which is that's not where Manchester United is used to or wants to be. So we'll see if they can fix things during the offseason. But I think we're both on the same page here. Coventry. I think we're both just trying to give City a nice, a softball coming in for the final, playing Coventry County for the FA Cup final.
Look, I have been a City fan long enough that I watched us in 2013 FA Cup final lose to Wigan. So I am not opposed to getting the easy team and losing. We've done it before.
That's a throwback side. I remember when Wigan Athletic used to be in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Not recent. Yeah. Anyway, speaking of Premier League, we'll get to the actual action from this upcoming weekend. Only 3 on Saturday. Most of them are on Sunday this week because of these fixtures here for the FA Cup. So we'll start off with Luton and Brentford, Sheffield and Burnley both play at 10 a.m. Luton and all of these games. These 2 matches are very important to the bottom of the table. Luton and Brentford. Brentford is now safe. This is the match to make Brentford fully safe, I would say. If Brentford can pull off a win here, they'll have kept 3 points away from Luton, which would bump them up to 28. And that will put them up at 35, which would be 10 points clear of Luton Town. So Brentford is trying to win this one for sure. And they're unbeaten in 4 matches. So I'm going to give it to Brentford 2-1 to solidify their place in the Premier League going forward for next season.
I have the opposite. 2-1 to Luton. I think Luton really needs it.
Going for
Brentford,
chaos.
I think their streak ends here. I think the 5th match, I just don't think they're good enough as a side to be that consistent. They haven't shown it all season. I think this is where at Kenilworth Road, they're going to end up losing.
Mm-hmm.
Luton's going to jump out of the relegation zone, and they're going to be rocking and rolling.
They will temporarily. We'll see. I don't know what your pick is for the Nottingham Forest Everton match, but you might be tilting your hand there, showing your hand a little bit there. And then we go to Sheffield United and Burnley. Do you think Sheffield United tries to play spoiler here for Burnley's hopes of staying up?
I think they want to. I don't think they do. I think Burnley has played better than Sheffield recently. Burnley has more to play for. I think Burnley gets the win 2-1.
Another 2-1 for you.
Another 2-1. I think Burnley gets the win and keeps their hopes alive, because this is, if you're going to win one, this has to be it.
Yeah, this really is.
And I think they take it.
And I think it goes 2-2. I think it goes 2-2 here, because Sheffield United can score, but they also give up a lot. So I don't think it's going to be a low scoring match. And 2-2, just I think that Sheffield scores in stoppage time to really break Burnley's heart, and take it 2-2, because I mean they're at home. It would be one of the last home matches for the Premier League that they'll have this season, and it's against a side that they can beat. You know, so want to give something to the home fans who support them all season, considering that they've let them down as far as staying up is concerned. You know, they'll probably be back, but like we said earlier this week, they've got to make some changes on defense if they're going to, when they come back up, if they're going to try to stay up with any sort of security. Then we go to the last match of Saturday. My Wolves host Arsenal at Molineux. Not excited for this one. I think that Arsenal now has sole focus on the Premier League, and they know that winning out is the only chance that they have, because City probably won't lose the rest of the season. So I think that they take it to my Wolves. I don't think we're back to full strength on the offense. We could have a cool Cunha moment. But I think it still goes. I think it goes 4-1 for Arsenal. I think it's pretty academic. Is that the word I'm looking for? Rudimentary. I feel like it's pretty basic for Arsenal.
I would have to disagree.
Really?
I think Wolves win 2-1.
Trying to take that pressure off.
And I think that Arsenal have now dropped 2 straight, something they hadn't done all year. Even Arteta after the match questioned his team's mentality. We've seen Arsenal do it before. Their offense is basically non-existent anymore after 3 weeks where they scored 27 goals in 5 or 6 matches. So I think it's going to be tough for them to turn it around to win 4-1, just with the short match week. How they're playing right now. Form is a huge deal at this point in the season. If it was Sheffield United, maybe I think 4-1 or worse, but Wolves have been playing well, and they're a good enough side at home that they could get a draw. I think they can win. I'm going 2-1.
All right. Hey, I always like when you pick us, because we sometimes win when we do that. We typically don't win when I pick us to win. So let's see. To Sunday, and another vital relegation match. Everton and Nottingham Forest, 16 and 17 respectively. Both of them only 1 point over Lutontown at 25 points, with the beginning at 25, 26, 27 respectively, from 18 to 16. Do you think either of these? Do you think they go to a draw here and just hurt each other terribly?
1-1. It's one of those it's a perfect storm for both teams to play defensively so that they don't lose. Yeah. But neither of them want to attack too much, because then they might leave their defense, because neither defense is very good. I think it's a perfect storm for them to draw 1-1, 2-2. My prediction's 1-1, but I think they'll end up drawing because neither team wants to lose. There's a lot of pressure, and it provides the opportunity for Luton to then overtake Nottingham at 17.
Yeah, and I've got the same thing, 1-1. Everton have not scored more than one goal in at least the past 5 matches. It may be more. Let me take a look here. 6-0, 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-0.
That's how Sean Dyche rolls, though.
1-1, 1-1. No goals. There we are. The last time they scored more than one goal was back on February 3rd when they drew Tottenham. So since then, only one goal. So if it's going to be a draw, I'm going to guess it's going to be 1-1. I agree with you totally that they're going to be too trepidatious in this one. Neither side is wanting to lose, and they're going to both end up dropping points to, well, I think that Luton's going to lose, but in your case, both of them falling below Luton. Because in your result, no, with goal difference, they'll still be in 17th, but they'll be level on points with Everton. With the result, if the results go the way that you think that they will, which, basing it off of the past couple weeks, is probably the better guess for the Premier League. You've been coming up here in the last 12 match days.
Told you I'm closing that 50 gap.
You're getting pretty close to overcoming me. I'm starting to feel the heat a little bit. Need to get back in it. Next we go to a match that means something to one of these teams. Aston Villa and Bournemouth. Aston Villa hosts Bournemouth on Sunday. I think that Bournemouth doesn't have much to play for at this point. Aston Villa does. Aston Villa is coming off a huge win against Arsenal last weekend. And I think that they keep it rolling here. At home, Aston Villa has been very good against the teams they're supposed to beat. I think they take this 2-0. Pretty straightforward for them.
I have a bit more fireworks. Oh. I think it'll be 4-2 Aston Villa.
Wow.
Like you said, Aston Villa, they know if they keep winning, keep getting points, they're going to be in the Champions League. So, yeah, I think they 4-2. I think they get up like 3-0, 3-1, coast from there. But hard to think Bournemouth is going to put up much of a fight in Villa Park.
Yeah, I do not have any sort of confidence in their ability to do that. Then to another match that means something to one of these teams. Crystal Palace hosts West Ham United. West Ham United, no man's land, 8th. They're not doing anything at this point. Crystal Palace, not out of the woods yet. They're on 33 points. If they can get 3 here, I'd say they're probably safe. Just they're in a similar spot to Brentford. Similar spot to Brentford here. If they can get the 3 points, they might be able to say we're good for the rest of the season. But do you think that they could pull that off against a West Ham side who is just kind of better than them?
Yeah, looking at the table, it still shocks me that somehow West Ham is within reaching distance of a Europa League spot. Yeah, it is. I will note they are in the Europa League currently, and they play Bayer Leverkusen tomorrow or Thursday.
The German winners.
Yeah, so it's important to note that they're going to be coming off a Thursday Europa League match. I still think they take it 2-1. I think Crystal Palace has been one of those teams that they played well versus the big teams, lost the teams they shouldn't lose to. And I think West Ham knows that depending on how their actual Europa League play now goes, they may need to be fighting for the spot again. So I think they come out on Sunday, they win 2-1. Could be a grind, though. Both these teams don't love to hold the ball in any way, shape, or form. So I think it'll be a boring 2-1.
I've got it a little bit more exciting than I've got his 3-1 victory for West Ham. Kudus had some poor decision-making last week for West Ham. I think he comes back in this one and gets himself a brace to kind of make up for that. And let's see. We haven't picked – Newcastle isn't playing this weekend, so that would bump them up into solo 6th if they were to pull off the win. Because neither Newcastle nor Manchester United are playing. Both those teams will have 2 games in hand on West Ham at that point, though. So that does not bode particularly well for West Ham's placement over them. Chelsea has 3 games in hand on West Ham, so that's interesting. It'll be 4 by the end of this weekend. Chelsea has a lot to make up coming here in the last couple weeks. Interesting. Everton too. Everton's only on 31 matches played so far, so they have 2 games, and that could come in huge for them. They've got 2 games in hand on the other bottom of the table teams. Brentford, Nottingham Forest, Luton, and Burnley. So that could come through huge for Everton here, coming down to the crux of the matter. But for our final match of Sunday, we've got Fulham versus Liverpool. Do you think Liverpool comes back here with a vengeance after underperforming the past 2 match days?
I don't. I think it continues. They have some injuries. Mm-hmm. I think the match goes 2-2. I think Fulham still has a little bit of maybe we want to get a few more points, and if we need to get them, we should get them at home. So I think...
And if it comes at Liverpool's expense, who's to say that's wrong?
Yeah, who knows? And again, Liverpool, similar position to West Ham. Thursday Europa League match. Mm-hmm. Short match. Only 2 days rest. And I don't know how much either team cares about the Europa League because we don't cover that here. But I do know Liverpool is down, lost the first leg at 3-0. So I don't know what they're going to do as far as who they're going to play. But I think either way, it's going to affect them on the weekend. I think Fulham, they're good enough to put up a fight. So I'm going 2-2. I think Liverpool drops points again, and both teams are going to start to feel it.
I think Liverpool comes back into form. I think this is a 3-0 drubbing of Fulham. Fulham doesn't have much to play for. Liverpool does. And they know that they've dropped the ball the past 2 match days. And in spite of injuries, they're still the better side. And they know that there's work to be done at this point. Similar to Arsenal taking care of my Wolves, Fulham is in a similar sort of position. Literally, they're 1 point behind us on the table, 3 goal difference ahead of us. So basically, we have a game in hand on them, though. So basically, we're way better than they are. But I think the results are somewhat similar in that we both lose by 3 goals, and both of us drop them at home against sides that are just definitively better soccer teams than we are. Unfortunately. But, we'll see what happens. That is the week that will be match day 34. We have a bunch of matches here in the midweek coming up. Champions League. Champions League is now... We'll still cover it, even though there's no English sides in it, because it's still, a great soccer tournament. And we've been covering it so far. We're not going to just drop out because the English sides are gone. But for next week, it's a bunch of matches. For the scheduling purposes, the Premier League's probably glad that Man City and Arsenal are out because it makes their scheduling way easier. They don't have to worry about those extra matches getting in the way, especially when City has another one to make up for this match day. Anyways, that ends up that is the week that will be match day 34. But before we go, we do have to answer our trivia question from earlier this week. Hit us with it one more time. You can timestamp your answer, and then we'll see if you get it right.
Yeah, it was who had scored the longest goal from open play in the Premier League.
That's right. See, now my thought...
Not a goal kick, not a direct kick, just open play.
My thought
in honor of Bayer Leverkusen. That was the hint.
Yeah, it had something to do with Bayer Leverkusen. I thought it was Tim Howard, because I didn't think that was a goal kick that he had scored that one time. I thought he just had possessed the ball. He had the ball passed back to him, and then he kicked it forward. But with the Leverkusen, I'm guessing that that's not the right answer then.
The Tim Howard was a goal kick.
It was a goal kick. Okay.
And because the wind was so strong, it was right after a corner that the goalie had come up. And so he placed it and he kicked it, and then, it bounced over the keeper. But no, it's not a goalie either.
Not a goalie either. Okay, then I don't have another guess beyond that. If it's not a goalie, I don't have another guess beyond that.
Well, in honor of Bayer Leverkusen, their current manager is a former Liverpool midfielding legend who was transferred to Real Madrid, where he really made his history. Mm-hmm. But Xabi Alonso scored the longest open play goal. It was just outside of his own box is where he kicked it from.
Was it like a similar situation that the goalkeeper had come up for
Yep.
yeah, it's a risk. It's like in hockey, the open netters. Much more rare in soccer, obviously. But there you go, Xabi Alonso. If you got that, props to you. We'll shout you out in the next episode if you got that right. Please, it's the honor system here, okay? If you listened for and went back and then time stamped it, that's going to hang on your conscience for the rest of your days, okay? Oh. So I only want honesty. I only want honesty and fair play. We appreciate candor here.
Yes, the open sincerity, the honesty.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. Well, that's the end of this episode. So until we see you again, go ahead and grab some coffee. Oh, let me get my mug. Grab some coffee, watch some soccer, and we'll see you on the other side.